And now we'll turn our attention to the Sudan. It has two rival military factions. On one side is the Sudanese army, on the other is the Paramilitary Rapid Support Force, or RSF. Now, they've been fighting in their country. Yesterday, they took the battle to the United Nations. The heads of these two warring factions unleashed their ire, not through weapons, but through words. First, the RSF leader spoke. He was not there in person. He gave a rare video recording from an undisclosed location. Then the Sudanese army leader took the UN podium. So both sides made competing addresses, sort of like an international pick-me battle. It's one of the many awkward moments to have befallen the marble dais at the United Nations General Assembly. It has witnessed speeches that go from funny to downright bizarre. Here's a report.
Since its inception, the UN General Assembly has been a forum for rigorous debate. The 193 members discuss the world's most vexing issues, be it development, poverty, or peace. This year, the UN General Debate opened on the 19th of September against a dark backdrop of the ongoing war in Ukraine, political crises in West Africa and Latin America, economic instability, climate change, and the Wuhan virus that just won't stop lingering around. In this high-level meeting, tempers often run high, leading to lofty declarations and audacious rhetoric, sprinkled with odd hilarity and awkward meltdowns. Speaking of awkward, Sudan comes to mind. Its two warring military factions indulged in a hasty battle yesterday. But instead of weapons, they used words, as the UN witnessed an international pick-me battle. Sudan has two rival military factions. On the one hand is the Sudanese army, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. On the other hand is the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, led by HAMDAN Dagalo, known as HAMDAN. The two have been at war since April this year. At the UN, the two military heads were seen, well, butting their heads.
We call upon the international community to designate these groups and their allies as terrorist groups that must be countered by all. They must be fought to protect the Sudanese people, the region, and the entire world.
Then came army leader Burhan to counter HAMDAN.
The RSF is fully prepared to declare a ceasefire throughout Sudan. Dialogue should lead to a comprehensive political solution and the establishment of a civilian government.
Both sides blamed the other for starting the war. No surprises there. But this wasn't the only anticlimactic moment at the UNGA. All eyes were also on the Security Council's meeting on Ukraine. Everyone seemed to be waiting for when Ukrainian President Zelensky and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov would cross paths. But alas, they didn't. Zelensky left before Lavrov arrived. But there was no dearth of strange moments. As Zelensky denounced Russia as a terrorist state, the Russian ambassador was seen looking at his phone. In turn, when Lavrov claimed that Kyiv is violating the UN Charter, the Ukrainian ambassador returned the favor. He had his eyes on his phone. Fubbing at the UN? Seriously. In case you didn't know, fubbing is when someone snubs anyone in favor of a phone. But such oddities aren't rare at the UN. For years, its marbled dais has witnessed several of them. In 2017, Trump threatened to totally destroy North Korea.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
In 2012, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that Iran was months away from acquiring a nuclear weapon. He brought a diagram.
A red line should be drawn right here.
Now, nuclear science may be complex, but Netanyahu's diagram was basically a cartoon depicting a round bomb with a fuse. And in 2006, when Venezuela's President Hugo Chavez called the then US President George W. Bush the devil.
Yesterday, the devil was here in this same place. It still smells of sulfur, this podium where I am speaking. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, from this same place, the President of the United States, who I call the devil, came here speaking as the owner of the world, In
2019, then UK PM Boris Johnson told the UN members about a non-existent dystopia that would result in terrifying limbless chickens. Now, we could go on, kind of like in 2009, when the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi raged against the superpowers for 100 minutes. But don't worry, we know you get the drift, unlike Gaddafi.